Remember those comprehension questions we have to answer back in school during English classes? Well, this book itself might as well be the article of those questions. And the question itself might well be, what the heck is going on? Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Harry's Book Cafe. Today let's talk about Ian Reid's I'm Thinking About Ending Things. I have been meaning to read this book for quite some time. Ever since I watched the trailer of the movie, I was completely intrigued. And I'll tell you what, this book does not disappoint. It is absolutely amazing. I'm not exaggerating, but I think this is one of my all-time favorites. Brand new. So it's a nice feeling to have a new time all-time favorites. It's only a short book. I think it's just over 200 pages, yet it feels much larger. It punches above its weight by far. This is a book I think divides opinions quite strongly. Some people, I've seen the review, some people absolutely love it like I do, and some people absolutely hate it in equal measure. And it's not difficult to see why. I will explain why that is. Especially the ending. I think he confused many people, and it might warrant some explanation. And yet, when you truly understand the ending, you will become aware of the genius that is Ian Reid and the genius that is this book, I'm Thinking of Ending Things. Very, very interesting book. As I said, I absolutely love it. I think the atmosphere of something not quite right was done really, really well, even from the very beginning of the book. As a reader, you get the sense that something is weird going on, and that uneasiness is increasing, really, really increasing as the pages progresses, as the story progresses. It becomes downright creepy towards the middle of the book, and I love that feeling. It's really, really well done. Do I think it's a horror book? It's very difficult to classify what genre this book is. I mean, you can call it horror. You can also call it thriller. I'm not entirely sure because it can really sit in either category. It's not horror in the sense of, you know, blood and gore or torture. None of this stuff. It's done very cleverly. It's done with the suggestions that something isn't going as it should be, something that is amiss, and yet really not telling you what it is. So you got this psychological horror. It's really messing with your head. And the ending, as I said, is really messing with your head. And I love it. Very surreal book from the beginning to the end, especially the end. Once you truly understand what's going on, you can't help but to think this is something that Frank Kafka, with a gallon of coffee inside his system, might write. It's just amazing. As I said in the beginning of the introduction of this book, the center question is, what the heck is going on? What have I just read? If you haven't seen the movie or if you haven't read the book, what I'm about to tell you will have spoilers, so please be aware. What happened is the story, it actually centers on a very basic premise, a very fundamental premise, and that is a relationship between Jake, our male protagonist, and Lucy, our female protagonist. They enter into a relationship, and that relationship has been going on for a very short period of time, say 6 weeks or so. Jake decided to take Lucy to see his parents in a very rural part of USA. It was not specified which part, but it was implied throughout the book that wherever their parents is, it's a very, very remote part. So he added that sense of isolation. So that part was done really, really well. Even before the journey began, however, we were told that something isn't going quite right with Lucy because she has been receiving really weird phone calls. Sometimes the phone call leaves a voicemail, and the voicemail contains a few questions that's nonsensical. But yet the missed calls becomes quite persistent, and the voice message becomes quite persistent. And what's even weirder even, is that the missed calls that she keeps receiving on her mobile phone comes from her own number. So imagine you receive a missed call on your phone and you realize the missing number, the missed calls number is your own number. So it's really, really weird. And that sort of creepiness start to build and build and build as the journey progresses. Anyway, so during the journey to see Jake's parents, the couple start to discussing philosophical questions. Can you truly know someone, even if you have been a married couple for 20, 30, 50 years? Do you truly know your partner? Do you know 100% what your opposite number is thinking? Can you guarantee that? Also questions of that nature, philosophical in outlook and psychological in nature. And the discussion is quite interesting, although I think the impact of those questions were not immediate to the actual plot line. So we as a reader, we start to being absorbed into this discussion, and we can't help but to scratch our head to some degree. Why are these questions important at all? And then things becomes really weird once they have arrived at the parents' place. The parents, especially the mother, isn't quite normal. The conversations, the things that she says, even the dad, you know clearly that something isn't quite right. And also there are descriptions of photographs being hung on the walls of the parents' house. And some of the photographs, although Jake claims that those photographs are of him when he was young, Lucy, when look at those pictures, felt as if those pictures were her when she was young. Right, so really, really weird. And while they were having an awkward conversation during dinner, supper, her phone started to ring again and again and again. And it's the same caller. And when she looked at down, she realizes it's her phone number. And BB, there's lots of messages left. So all of these elements added together, you know, all these weird phone calls in this awkward conversation, awkward supper, in this really weird setting of the parents' house, all of this added together just make the atmosphere of the novel absolutely phenomenal. You felt as if you're there, and you feel the embarrassment of Lucy, and you feel the awkwardness of the whole supper, and you can't help but to feel the weirdness of going on. Something is clearly not right. Anyway, so after dinner, Jake wants to take Lucy back to the city where they came from, and on the way they bought 2 ice creams. And by the way, the whole setting happened during winter storm. So when they were driving on the motorway or a country lane, their views is almost completely obscured by the snowstorm that's going on. So it's very low visibility. So the whole thing added to the atmosphere of isolation and creepiness. And despite the weather, Jake insists on purchasing 2 ice creams. Here things get even stranger. So when they are purchasing the ice creams, one of the ice cream girls start to speak to Lucy, to talk to Lucy, and says, "I'm afraid, I'm scared, I'm frightened." And Lucy says, "What are you frightened of?" And she said, "I'm not." The ice cream peddler girl says, "I'm not afraid or frightened or scared for myself. I'm doing all this for you. I'm scared for you." And Lucy says, "Okay, what? You don't even know me." So things like that. You know, it's very Kafkaesque. Very. It also reminds me of Harushi Murakami in many ways, of this sort of urban weirdness. Jake drives her on the way home. They finish the ice cream. They got the plastic tub melting in the center console. And Jake apparently is a quite clean person. He's germphobe, so he is very uncomfortable that the 2 caps is left in the car, so he wants to get rid of it, and yet he doesn't want to throw them out of the window. So he said, "I know a school not far from here, there are bins there where I can dump the caps." And Lucy was thinking, "Oh my God, why can't you just drive home and dump it then?" But anyway, she went along with him. He then drove to this school, went out to dump the ice cream cups. And Lucy was sitting in the car herself, and she gets scared. But anyway, so Jake eventually came back, started to kissing her. He then jerked back and saying, "Okay, someone is looking at us. The Jupiter, the cleaner of the school, is there in the window. He was looking at us. I'm going to go and then teach him a lesson. He can't do that. He's a dirty F word. So Lucy says, "Okay, come on, man. Let's just go home. Let's go home. Forget about it. I'm scared. You know, the storm is raging, and you dumped your cups. Let's go home." But Jake was having none of it. So he rushed out. He rushed into the school and disappeared. So Lucy found herself completely alone in the car. The key has been taken away by Jake and it's getting colder and colder. She gets scared. She ran to the school in the hope of finding Jake. And once she gets there, things becomes really scared and strange and creepy because she can't get out. And she felt, no matter where she is, a presence of the cleaner following her, stalking her, and the PA system is playing some old country song on repeat. So the whole thing was done absolutely amazing. Towards the end, what happened is the last few pages describing so everything was telling. So the reader has been reading the whole thing through Lucy's perspective, right? And the pronoun has always been I. Okay, it's a first-person narrative. So I went into the school, I'm looking for Jake, I don't know what's going on, I'm scared. Things like that, right? And then suddenly, towards the last few pages, that pronoun changed to we. Okay, we are scared, we're looking at something, we are searching for Jake, where's Jake? And then it changed again to a third-person singular, he's looking at. And it's just messing with my head. I don't know what's going on, all right? Until the very last pages. The structure of the novel is also very interesting. Every few chapters, there is a interjection of dialogues between two individuals, whom as a reader, I had no idea who they were. However, as the story progresses, it becomes increasingly clear that those two individuals worked in the school, the same school that Lucy and Jake were stranded in. In fact, the conversation is pivotal towards the end for the reader to understand what exactly happened in the story. So let's now talk about the title of the novel. I'm thinking of ending things. In fact, this is the common refrain that has been invaded in Lucy's inner thoughts almost from the beginning of the book to the very end. And that is that Lucy has been contemplating ending the relationship with Jake. However, this is where it gets really interesting or messed up, depending on how you look at it. Lucy as a person, at least in relation to Jake, does not exist. She does exist as an individual. However, her existence and Jake's existence does not connect. Jake has only met Lucy once in a pub. There has been a spark that could ignite into something much, much bigger. Only if Jake had asked her for her number or given her his number. Unfortunately, he did neither. Therefore, the Lucy that we have been reading about as a reader throughout the book has been nothing but a fragment of Jake's imagination. The title, I'm thinking of ending things, also apply to Jake, whereas Lucy's inner thoughts is more innocent. Jake's title, however, is much darker. I'm thinking of ending things in Jake's perspective means I'm thinking of killing myself. The reason he wanted to end everything, kill himself, is because he found it very difficult to communicate and connect with other people. In fact, the book told us that Jake is a very bright individual. He has the ambition to be a professor. But because of lack of social skills, he got stuck as a cleaner in this school. So life to him has lost its color and meaning. However, he still grasped onto life and he was willing to give it one more try by imagining Lucy was part of his life, by imagining this trip. Even in his imagination, he decided that Lucy will end things and everything just moved back physically and metaphorically back to the school. And we as a reader were given the last few pages of the scene of Jake's realization that he will never make friends, that he will always stuck in school. Lucy by then has disappeared. That's where the pronoun changed from I to we to he. The last few pages, he basically killed himself. At this point, as a reader, I became very confused as to what the hell is going on. Where's Lucy? What's going on? That's why I said the interjections of the dialogues between the two unknown individuals are pivotal for us to understand what exactly happened. That's the surface level. On a deeper level, I think the novel really exposed and examined the serious issues of loneliness and mental health disorders, because clearly Jake is lonely and Jake also suffered from multiple personality disorder. So in a sense, it exposed a deeper level of the social ill. So it's a very interesting book. As I said, I absolutely loved it. Just reading on the surface level, don't have to think about the deeper issue. Just on the surface, it is fantastically well written. I love the style. It's amazingly literary. There's lots of philosophical examinations during the drive to the parents' house. That was quite interesting too. And most of all, I think the biggest strength of this book is the build-up of this unease from the first missed call all the way to the end where she was completely stranded in school. The whole gradients, the whole increase in the level of unease was done to the perfection. I think this is my first Ian Reid book. I don't know whether he has written other books, but this one is absolutely phenomenal, and I have to say I really truly enjoyed it. Judging by the reviews, it's very mixed, so it might not be everyone's cup of tea, but I do 100% wholeheartedly recommend that you give it a try. It really is an original piece of work. It somewhat reminds me of American Psycho, where at the end nothing really happened, everything was in his head. So in that sense, it lost some of its originality. However, I'm thinking of ending things. As a reader, we're never really confronted by the physical threats that has been present in most parts of American Psycho. Because of those lack of physical manifestations of the threat in this book, the lack of blood and gore and overly detailed descriptions of violence, everything here is hinted, implied, and we're left to the reader's imagination to torture ourselves. And there's nothing more powerful than our own imagination. And therefore, it is far more scary, far more threatening than American Psycho. Overall, I do recommend this book, as I said, wholeheartedly. I absolutely loved it. It's definitely one of my all-time favorite book now. I truly enjoyed it. I loved the shock of finding out exactly what happened pretty much on the last page. Loved it. And that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I think you can probably heard my passion in this video about this particular book. I truly, truly loved it. Please subscribe and give a thumb up and leave some comments down below and let me know what you have been reading, what you're planning to read, and whether or not you have read this book before and what are you thought. Everything really helps with YouTube algorithm, and that really encouraged me to grow this channel. Anyway, guys, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you in the next one. Cheerio.